welcome to Press
Hey,
Box. I'm stepping in today. Hey, Doug, I'm stepping in today for Dr. Lori as she's away for the week. And we have a special guest, a very exciting and successful. We're really excited to introduce Mark Freitas to the team here. Mark's going to be jumping on board as a sports reporter with Doug and Lori. Again, I'm just stepping in today for Lori as I'm just stepping up for the team. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back with Press Box. Welcome, guys,
hey,
again. Hey, Doug, how you doing?
good. Doug Smith broadcasting from the shores of the Ottawa River here in Canada's capital. And it's so great to have Mark on board. This has been so far for me about a 6-month journey, and it's been an amazing learning experience. And, Mark represents a lot of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing. And he's got a great experience in the media industry as well. And Jay, thank you so much. The owner of the Disability Channel, the founder of the Disability Channel. He's going to share with us some incredible news today about what's going on in his life and with the Disability Channel as we move towards the Invictus Games, right, Jay?
That's right, Doug. Well, thank you so much. And Mark, again, congratulations on Mark's a great success story. He's a graduate of our one of our previous programs. How long ago did you take that course, Mark?
2020.
2020, and now he's back again to do another course. And not only that, but he's got a spot now as a sports reporter on Press Box with Doug and Lori. So we're very honored, very excited, and we're just really happy that we can provide opportunities, right? Like, and that's what we're all about. The channels providing positive opportunities, helping people grow, expand their resume, expand their life, get a great purpose in life. So, Mark, why don't I hand it off to you a little bit? Because, obviously this is a sports show, but it's also an educational show, right? For opportunity. So why don't you tell our viewers, which we are live right now on Facebook, and you don't have to go into it too deep, but your experience with the channel and your vision and where you'd like to go.
Oh, my experience with the channel has been great so far. My vision is hopefully is just build more relationships and get my foot in the sports media door or just regular media door, and as well as just enhancing what I already know and trying to learn more things of editing and things like that, as well as getting some of my work out there and see what we can put together.
I'm curious, how did you find the Disability Channel, Mark?
I found it through my fiance's parents, and I got in contact with Jay, and I was supposed to. So I got in contact with Jay. I want to say I think it was before the pandemic, because I was gonna do my college internship with the Disability Channel, and then COVID shut everything down. It took
Hmm.
out all of our plans, but thankfully the media, instead of me doing an internship just with the Disability Channel, that got scrapped through college, but I still wanted to do like their media program. So I got in contact with Jay and I did their digital media program, and um, I had a lot of fun doing that a couple of years ago. So I'm in their new program now at the Veterans program, and I'm just getting refreshed on things I've learned and things I forgot. So everything's kind of coming back to me because it's been a while.
Well, it's amazing. It's great for people to hear how you got in touch and what did the Disability Channel do for you? Like, and tell people about the program and maybe what it was. It funded and how did that go?
The program, it went well. It was funded. It was funded, but it was more like it was good. It was a good learning experience. It was a little difficult at first because obviously doing things remotely at the time was challenging.
Mm.
So asking questions, it's a little. I'm more of like a hands-on kind of guy. So like learning stuff through a computer is a little difficult. But as this time went on, I got the hang of it. I used a lot of their editing skills that they taught me on some of my videos and stuff like that, as well as some assignments. Um, and even with this new program, there's elements that we've taken from the digital ventures program, and we're adding it to the veterans program. So it's a great mix of both.
And this is funded. This is funded education, and we really want our listeners to know to pass this message on because usually the message gets to people not directly, but through people that might be listening or a cousin or a relative, just almost exactly like you said. To know that they can come to a place and start to get re-educated, and the government's stepping in to help them do that, and the organization is stable. That's the message we want to make sure other people get, so they can accomplish what you're accomplishing. What are your next steps like after graduation?
I'm just gonna continue writing. Really still doing freelance. I'm trying to get a paid job with it, as well as other media. Trying to see if there's work available. Um, Currently this weekend I'm gonna have to go down to the CAA Center in Brampton to pick up my media pass for the Brampton Steelheads of the OHL. They've just relocated to Mississauga to Brampton. We'll be covering the team again this year. My co-host and I do a show where we cover the team, and we talk about like their upcoming games, players. We get guests on, so it's a nice way to get out there. And because of our show and kind of my articles, we've gotten in touch with some of the players' parents. They'll share our stuff, so they'll see us at games and they'll tell us like they enjoy our work and stuff like that. So it's really cool, as well as kind of meeting the players. Like I've had a couple players follow me on Instagram after I've done an article about them, which is cool.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, all right. So it's nice, and some of them are drafted or going to be drafted. So it's nice to kind of get them exposure into the public eye for hockey, especially coming up, being drafted.
It's building a community, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you're doing right now.
Yes.
Let me
So go
let
on.
me jump in. Let me jump in just for a sec, Mark, just to say that, I know you have hockey on the brain. You're a hockey guy. You love doing your research. You love doing your articles. You couldn't be beside a better hockey guy than Doug Smith. So you
Yeah.
guys are going to be attached at the hip. Like, he's going to be a wealth of resources for you, Mark. Like, you can, hey, Doug, da, 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 you know what I mean? Like, I just see the synergy right now working. It's great. It's great.
Well, if there's and the opportunities are more and more at the NHL level too, at the professional level. So like what I'm hearing is you're getting seasoned with the junior players, and like getting comfortable with being in and out of the dressing room, and that's a high level. I mean, there's some bizarre stuff going on in that environment. You
Yeah,
gotta have a level head. You gotta know how to be politically correct, keep your mouth shut when like when you should, right?
exactly. Well, I haven't gone down to do any dressing room interviews like yet or talk to the coaches. I've kind of just been like in the shadows doing stuff online. But I'm thinking maybe like this year I'll kind of expand more and break out of my shell and see if I can chat with the coach and try to get quotes and see what I can do. I like to
Yeah.
kind of
Well,
expand that.
allow me please to write you a testimonial. Like allow me to do
See, there
that,
you
and
go.
That
and
sounds good with me.
maybe that'll help, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that's an exciting space to be in. The crowds are getting bigger in junior too, huh?
Unfortunately, but not in Brampton or Mississauga. They were one of the lowest attendance, unfortunately. But hopefully, it works out in Brampton. They have a new lease. Well, they got I don't know too much of the details, but the lease is pretty good, so they'll be there for a couple of years, and hopefully, it works out.
I just want to jump in and just say I really appreciate, Doug, you asking Mark about the process of how you know the channel, your experience at the channel, your feedback, because sometimes with our team, like myself and Frank and our teachers, but especially more me and Frank, we're so knee deep in this that we just sometimes we forget about the results, right? Because we're so knee deep in trying to move things forward and making sure everything is expanding and making sure all the details are taken care of. So when gentlemen like Mark and other members of our class let us know how much we have done for them or how much we have not done for them, you know what I mean? It's really thank you for sharing. Like, it means a lot to us. So thank you.
Well, yeah, and I would imagine with the culture that the Disability Channel has, that the people who graduate are always coming back. They're always coming back to say hello, always coming back to, let's talk a little bit maybe about where things are going in a positive sense. Are you interested in going to the Invictus Games to cover part of that, Mark? Like, because I know Jay's working hard to develop cohorts of media people to be able to cover that event, correct?
So actually, I just found out about the Invictus Game when I started this program. I never heard about the Invictus Games until I started the Veterans program. So I'm kind of like doing my research on it to understand it more, because there's a lot of like other games out there that should get coverage, and like stuff like this should be out there. So I'm just kind of looking around and seeing like what it's about, and where could I watch it and take an interest in it.
That's excellent. Do your research on it, and I encourage everybody else to look at the Invictus Games and what Prince Harry started. And we're just identifying the athletes now, and they're getting ready for the games in February 2024, which will be in Whistler, BC. Just so everybody knows, it's going to be in Canada and Whistler. And Mark, I hope you get there, man. That'd be cool. That'd be very cool.
As time goes on, I'll do more research on it, and hopefully me and Jay can work on something.
So let's talk a little bit about that. And also after, I want to make an announcement regarding Mark and Sirius XM. Very important announcement. Well, Sirius XM affiliated, so I want to make a cool announcement. But let's talk a little. I want to tell our viewers a little bit about the game. So right now, we are on course to go to the Invictus Games for February 2025 to be part of the production team, right? And the emphasis of the games, this is a professional worldwide event with professional people. So I just let you know, the Invictus Games told me, Jay, this isn't a training program. This is not a training platform. This is a professional platform. So that answers my question. That answers anybody who says, hey, can I go? Can I go for people? Because I'm telling you, they're looking, Jay, not a training program. This is a professional pro. So just letting you people know. So what we're doing now, so we're confirming firm details, right? We have a lot of people, a lot of bells and whistles, a lot of moving pieces. So as of today, I can confirm that October 12th is our fundraiser, start of our tour to go to the Invictus Games, featuring our employment programs. This is a free event, and we have 3 stellar lineup of entertainers. So we're going to kick it off with a veteran named Fraser Newcomb, who's going to be coming from the East Coast. How's that?
Nice.
Coming from the East Coast. Now we're just confirming this, but we talked. We had a big meeting yesterday, and he's going to be opening up the show and doing an acoustic set. He's a wonderful. Check him out, Fraser Newcomb. He's on our site. And then we're going to open up with our stellar performers, of course, Freedom Train, Automatic Sellout. They're actually playing this weekend, which we're the media for Rib Fest here in Burlington.
I've seen them. They're absolutely amazing.
Check them out, Freedom Train. So
Freedom
they're playing
Train.
here.
Oh, yeah.
They're
Google
closing
it.
Saturday night. Yeah, they're closing at Spencer's Park out here in Burlington on Saturday night, which just mentioned Rib Fest because we're media there. So there's 4 days of live music, Spencer's Park, and we're going to be the media for 4 days. So getting back to the fundraiser, we're going to have Fraser Newcomb. We're going to have Freedom Train doing their sets. And then we have special guest appearance, Dave Ray from Teenage Head. Oh, yeah, baby. So Teenage Head's going to be there performing too. We also are auctioning off a guitar courtesy of Long and McQuaid. We're going to get some signatures on it. We have our 50-50 going. So, and then that's going to catapult us out to BC, which I actually, Doug, I think I don't want to, we're going to move our venue down to Vancouver. The one that
cool.
you mentioned.
Nice. Yes.
We're getting too many requests. So I want to talk to you after the show about that, about doing our venue down in Vancouver. We also have our song with Tom Cochran and Burton Cummings involved. So there's a lot of stuff that's happening. And of course, we're going to be broadcasting it. So our sports show is going to be front and center along with our Today show, our veteran show, and our music show. So we're going to have 4 shows showcasing the games. Awesome. So this is going to be, and let you know that I'm going to be interviewing on a radio show, Scott Moore, the CEO.
Oh, that's so we're going to get it right from the horse's mouth. That's great.
Right,
Yeah. You know what? No risk of making anything up when you're getting it from him. That's the truth, right? That's great, Jay. Congratulations.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we take a quick break, come back? Because I know Mark wrote an article regarding the Leafs, and the Leafs are coming. So, Mark, if you're ready to give us that article, and then we can talk maybe a little bit about the passing of wrestling great Sid Vicious. So
I want to talk to you about who you want to talk to. Who's your dream interview? We'll talk about that after the break too.
Okay, stay tuned. You're watching Press Box with Doug Smith and new reporter Mark Freitas. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. The Disability Channel, showcasing abilities.
Hi, I'm L.I. Frady, watching the Disability Channel, showcasing ability. Please stay tuned.
Welcome back to Press Box. On our show today, I'm stepping in for Doug Wood. Doug, thanks, Doug, for having me today. I really appreciate this. Dr. Laurie's away. Mark's our new member of the team. He's going to be our news reporter covering everything from the Leafs to WWE, maybe a little UFC, maybe some baseball. So why don't we do this? Why don't we hand the baton off to Mark? And Mark, you can tell us about your latest article on the Toronto Maple Leafs, if that's okay.
Yeah, so I put one out this morning covering their goaltending, talking about how it still needs to kind of be solved, even though they do have, Joseph Wall, they have Anthony Stolarz, and they've got Matt Murray. So it's kind of basically just like discussing about the possibilities of what could happen, and if Wool struggles, he does have, he's got 2 good veterans he can kind of lean back on that have won a Stanley Cup. Obviously, Murray won 2 at Pittsburgh, and then Stolarz this year with the Panthers. And as well as I dug into I think Matt Murray will get in games with the Leafs here. I'm a big Matt Murray supporter. He just had double hip surgery from an interview I just saw that he did. And I think he will be a surprise for the Leafs this year if, Woll or Stollard struggle or if one of them get hurt. As well as what's going to happen. Like, who's going to be the starter come playoff time? We'll surpass 40 games. It's just a lot like that. So we'll get a link into that, and you guys can read more about it.
Double hip surgery? You're betting on somebody who just had double hip surgery? You must really think
he
they're
did
talented.
play 3 AHL games, so I mean, he says he feels good. So
that's a young age.
About it.
That's amazing. You must be a talented freaking player for you to be betting on him under that situation.
Yeah, I believe, I got to be positive. They have him on a cheap contract, so you never know what
I think the Florida guy is going to be the starter. I think he's possible. I think he's going to start. I think they're going to start Joseph Woll because they just signed him to this big contract. But I think Joseph Woll already has a health problem. I mean, if he gets hurt again, he'll be done for the Leafs. But I think this young guy, but the guy from Florida. I mean, let's face it, he saved Florida's bacon last year. Like he's a proven goaltender, right?
Yep. He went 16-7-2.
Yeah.
He had a good GAA and a good save percentage. And the good thing too is like he's 6'6".
So I didn't know that.
He can take up most of the net, which Toronto will have better defense. Yeah. So he'll be good.
How old is
30.
he? 30. So he's still young. So that's good. Good age. Good experience.
Same age as Murray.
I think he'll take the number one spot. I think Joseph Woll would be great. Like let Joseph Woll play 30 games, 35, and let this guy play 45 or whatever. Let's move up now. Let's move up to defense. What do you guys think about Larson and Tanev?
Go ahead.
I like the Tanev signing. I mean, I think he'll play 4 years and they'll put him on LTIR for the next 2 to get him off the cap. That's fine with me. The contract isn't as bad as he'll make it out to be. I think Ekman Larson, I like it too. He's something that they also need. They'll finally have like a shot from the point, which is what they don't have. And he's not bad defensively either. So I think they'll be a lot better defensively, especially under Craig Berube. Because he's like a no-nonsense coach. He's a defensive first coach. So I think the Leafs offense might take a step back, but like the defense will be a lot better come again when playoffs, when it matters the most. What's your take, Doug?
Well, the people you're talking about, I'm not as familiar with as I am with Craig Berube. He's closer to my age. And if I remember Craig Berube properly, he liked to go hard at things, like run hard at things. Yeah. So like I can see that team being very explosive this year. I just hope that their legs are strong, so they're solid on their skates, so they don't stumble. You know what I mean? Because he'll have them moving really quick. I think.
Did you play against Craig, maybe, Doug?
Yes.
You did, right? Yeah, you played against everybody. So I mean,
not everybody. Yeah, it ended at 29 for me. So
let's talk about two things, though. So let's talk about the new captaincy, Austin, and let's talk about how do you think the players are going to receive Craig?
You want to go first, or you?
Yeah. Well, you go first. I don't know Craig personally, so you'll know more anecdotally than I do probably. So yeah, you go ahead.
I think it was the right move, Jay. I genuinely think it's the best move. As much as John Tavares is a good leader, it is time for a new voice, especially for Austin. He's a guy who shows personality, and it's something you need, especially in Toronto. I think the players are absolutely fine with it. I like the way how they handle it. They handled it professionally. It wasn't a big deal. They did a good job. They did it very well how it was handled. And you could even tell during Matthews' press conference, he was getting emotional. So you could tell like him playing in Toronto means a lot to him. And you could tell he wants to win. And it's something that I think a lot of Leaf fans, even like media, it's something you haven't seen in a long time. It's something you need in this city. And
do you
Go
think
on.
he's going to take the C and run with it? Because, I mean, I love John. I think
Yeah.
John's a super professional. I don't think John was a good captain, and it's still out for me if Austin's a good captain. I mean, just because you're the best player on the team doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily make you see quality, because you got to be able to step up, and you got to be the liaison between the coach, and you got to be
Yeah.
able to
It's
tell
a
your
lot of
player,
work.
your teammates, hey guys, you're not pulling, like what Mark Messier. Like, I remember all the stories you hear. Doug, you can probably confirm this, or it might be a lie, but Mark would go up to the guys in the dressing room and go, hey, like, next period, you better step up. Like, you're not stepping up. And
Well, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of energy, right? And he's been doing it for a while. So, it takes, when he doesn't have to go to, another 5 meetings a week because he's working at such a high level, where in the sea, that'll give him more energy for the ice. The way he leads isn't going to change. Everybody's not going to go, well, he's not our leader anymore. I mean, that's going to continue. He's just
Yeah.
going to support whoever's wearing it, right?
Exactly. That's all they'll do, and I think it'll be fine the way it is.
how's
Like,
little Mitchie gonna play?
I think he'll have a career year because it's contract year. And as you know, guys whose contracts are up, they always play well. So who knows? Maybe come playoff time, he'll actually show up, because out of the big four, only 2 of them really show up, and that's usually Matthews and Nylander. So I think this year, this season coming up, going into the playoffs, he
Well, I
will
wouldn't
have
take
a
I wouldn't
big
take
one.
anything away from John either. I think, like,
Yeah.
John is a total professional, but John is 35 now, right? And we were talking offline. Like, I think John this year coming up, I think he would be the best third center in the league.
Yes, I
The
agree with that.
best,
I agree.
right?
Yeah.
And I think Domi could play number 2, but we don't have. We lost Tyler Bertuzzi. So
Which is no big
does
love loss.
Nyes go up? Does Nyes go up to the first line? Who's on the first line, Mark?
So I think Knives will be on the first line because him and Matthews have a good chemistry there. The second line, you could have Bobby McMahon there. He was doing well until he got hurt. They missed him in that Boston series.
So I would say Domi, McMahon, and Marner.
Yeah.
Or put, and then, but you can't put Nylander on the third line. Like, you can't.
No.
You got to put him on the first. Well, put Marner on the first line with Matthews and Nyes. Put Nylander with Domi and Bobby McMahon, and then the third and fourth line, you just do whatever.
And I mean, if you want to move things around, you can look into the trade market too. Like, I think you could upgrade a better second line center than Domi. There's a couple names out there that are going around.
I love this. I love it. I love
Yeah.
Nylander is going to score the goals he's going to score anyways, because he scores them mostly on the power play. And it doesn't matter what line you put him on. I bet you he's going to be within 10% of his production, regardless of where you put him.
Right, and as you know, Doug, he can generate his own line. That's what I mean.
Oh yeah, if he wants, the other team doesn't want him to have the puck. They'd rather his line mates have the puck.
Right.
Hey,
So
guys,
I think everything will be good.
Let me step in here for a sec. Our producer says we got to take a break, and I'm going to exit the show. I just want to say thanks again, guys, for having me on.
No
our Facebook page is blowing up. So, Mark, great introduction, great first show, great content. I love talking Leafs. I can do this all day long. Sorry, Doug. I know you're
it's
you're
great.
an Ottawa
I
guy.
love it.
You're an
I'm here in Ottawa. Yeah, new ownership, right?
Okay, so we're going to stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to remove myself. You're going to come back with Mark and Doug. Again, thanks, guys, for letting me tune in. Have a great day. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Jay. Good to see you, man.
Would you like to donate to our employment programs? Please follow the link below to donate through PayPal. All proceeds go to our programs.
Love is the only way. Love is the only way. Love is the only way. Take a breath. Let it be alright. Take a breath. let it be enough right now. Let this moment be what it is. Let this moment be your doorway to bliss. Seeking love, 'cause it's seeking you.
Hi, this is Rocky Blyer, and you're watching the Disability Channel showcasing abilities.
Let's wait for a break.
Hey, Mark, this is fantastic. I'm learning so much about you, but I haven't learned anything about your past and your sports experience. So like, I really want to talk about that and find out, like, wrestling, one of them.
Yes, yeah. So I also cover wrestling. I used to cover shows like during the pandemic, but thankfully they moved me on from that because it was torture watching wrestling during the pandemic without a crowd.
Yeah.
So I just cover like moments or I talk about injuries, kind of basic stuff. That's another passion of mine that I do, um, as well as like just kind of like talking about sometimes like I'll do baseball if there's a need for it, and kind of just try to expand more on sports, which it's not too bad. I'm talking about some NFL articles, which I'm still learning some of the rules, even though I play fantasy football. So
Well, I'd like
yeah,
I'd like to introduce you if we could track down the right people in the organizations that I played for, because
yeah,
I played for 5 organizations, right?
yeah. Anything to me would be great. It'd be great. Like even just talking hockey could be any team. I know my stuff pretty well about it.
Yeah.
So it's something that I just have a good knowledge for.
So I spent time in LA, Buffalo, Edmonton, Vancouver, and with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yes.
So that was my journey, and those are the buildings that I'm an alumni member in,
Okay.
and so that gives me sort of hello access. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because most of the NHL teams today have built their alumni associations around any former player that lives locally. So a lot of them open the door. Like if I lived in Florida, I would probably be embraced by the alumni there. They've created more of an open door than saying, well, if you're not an alumni of the city but you live here, you can't access, or we can't leverage your position in the community, more like it, right? Because
Right.
we're an asset to, we're sort of the cushion between the players and the community in a way, right? So
Right.
yeah, it's a good space to dig into, because when you start talking to us, what happens is there's a whole bunch of bleed into the NHL, because 70% of the players that stop playing in the NHL, they work for the NHL, and 30% of them want to work for the NHL. So there's 100% of them who are still touching it, and it's a really tough, it's a really, really hard environment to back away from.
Of course, because it's something that you've played basically your whole life, right? So it's like you can't really leave it. It's hard to leave the game even when you're retired. You just kind of find a way to get back in another way, right?
Yeah, and one of the questions you can ask people, especially young people in the OHL, is what's the plan?
Exactly. What would be the plan? Like, you know, if so a lot of these guys don't get drafted, right? So they'll take like a college route. They go back to
Not
school. They go to
not if
Europe.
though,
Yeah.
but when,
Exactly.
right?
Oh yeah.
Because 100% of professional athletes are going to be terminated, and most of them almost instantly.
Yes.
But nobody ever thinks about that,
No,
because
they
there's
don't.
always a young player coming up, so that particular phenomenon, that 100% of them are going to hit the wall,
Yeah.
right? Whether it's psychologically or physically, are going to hit the wall, and they have to become more conscious.
Right. They also, that's the thing, right? They need to think about their future too, um, as well, and kind of get an early step ahead of things.
You could be a catalyst for that in the questions, in how you form the questions for them, so that they're positive, but they also linger of, what else are you doing with your life type of thing.
Yep. Exactly.
When I was in junior, I was the winner of the Bobby Smith Award, which is the academic award for the Ontario Junior Hockey League.
Yes.
So I was busy doing that. In fact, I wasn't even planning to go to the NHL. That was everybody else's plan,
Yes.
right? And I bet you it's the same in the dressing rooms of the teams that you're going into now. It's probably the same type of psychology. There's a lot going on that you don't know about, but if you just start asking the right questions, it's amazing what you'll find out.
Exactly. So I'm gonna look to expand that this year when my co-host and I do our shows, and we do our the writing aspect of the team, and see what else we can kind of deep dive into some of these players.
Yeah, and who what relatives they have. How is there One of the best subjects that you could cover is the conditioning that's happening,
Yeah, there's a
right?
lot
Because
of
that gives you access to culture. And,
yes,
and culture is the number one competitive advantage for these teams now.
yes,
And so if we can search for the answers to the questions that reveal the culture that exists, then you're going to be helping everybody within the organization. And people are worried about not having a good culture. Before, they were trying to hide their bad culture, right? 20 years ago.
yes,
Now they're worried they don't have a good culture. And so if you sort of wrap culture and supporting junior hockey, and that'd be I think that would be a beautiful thing. It would be like music to their ears, because they don't understand it.
exactly. They're like horses. They're just looking straight. So right now, their main goal is to go to the NHL.
They're just looking straight. You're right.
So yeah,
Yeah, and
uh,
everybody around them is thinking the same thing.
right. It's who can you can impress, who's watching. You never know. So yeah, those are very good topics to kind of take a look at. I've actually never thought of that, so I like that idea.
Well, it's something that
Yeah.
absolutely for sure they're going to have to go through, which is the change.
Yes.
And if you do it in a wise way, they won't notice you're doing it, but you'll just be reminding them that there's something else going on other than chasing a puck around, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's an important thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to take away anything from anybody, but it's important that they're aware, right? That they're because I was completely unaware. If anything would have happened to me in junior or whatever, I got my first retail job. My daughter has a store. I got my first retail job at age 61, which was just last year, to help my daughter out by working at her store.
Yeah. And
That's
that
how
was
little
new to you.
that's how little experience that I have, and it's the same with the guys that are playing. Like, their families have committed everything, so they've blocked out sort of what reality is, to the rest of the world.
Right. Well, what was for you? So when you were playing in junior, what was what was your plan? Like, what were you thinking about if you weren't thinking about going to the NHL?
Well, I was a math and physics guy. I excelled in academics. So for me, it was one of two or three sports. I was one of these guys who could have done it in lacrosse or skiing or hockey, or because I had ADHD, so I was running around like most NHL hockey players. I was running around like crazy guy, going from sport to sport, and my parents had to basically guide me and protect me from people who didn't want you to do good,
Right.
and then also from yourself, from jumping first and not checking to see if you have a parachute.
Yeah.
right? And so I just needed to be protected, like and helped. And some people weren't doing that. They were there to take. There's no question.
Yeah, it seems like you had good support with it. Um, for yourself as well, like, I just want to go to the hockey aspect here. So when you were drafted, uh, did it catch you off guard by like how high you went and like you're thinking like, oh, like this is gonna be your career from now on?
No, I had no idea, but it's funny you asked that question. So this is at the draft. There's Dale Howarchuk
Yeah,
and Ferguson giving him his jersey, and there's Doug Smith putting on my jersey because Dale went first and I went second. And you know what, Mark? I have no recollection of being at the draft in my mind. Absolutely zero. If you told me I'd deny it that I was even there. Yet there's pictures of me being there. So it must have been so overwhelming for me that I just blocked it out. And then the other dangerous trap I fell into was I started to believe that everybody had it as good as I had it.
mm-hmm.
I thought, it's like, doesn't everybody have it this way, And so I lost sort of my emotional control and got arrogant for periods of time during my career because, that I was on my own and to my own device. I was left to my own devices, right?
Yeah, especially being a kid. Technically, yeah, 18, you're still a kid there, right? So
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of going into the adult world, being away from family. You're going to a big city in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
and it's a different animal.
Well, even today, they got to ensure that the support structures are in place. But today, guys like Connor McDavid, when they come into the league, they have like 6 supporters around them.
Yes.
When I was 18 and I went to Los Angeles to play in the Forum, there was 0 supporters. I had none. I had nobody was supporting me to help me with real estate transactions or legal stuff or where to find like it was like they just sort of abandoned. If I wasn't at the office, they literally took no responsibility for me.
Yeah, I guess you guys had agents back in.
Yeah, and my agent was a lawyer, so it was just a transaction, right? And
yeah.
So, and that's the way it was operating. And now, and the only way I got traded from LA was I was asking to be traded from LA for 2 years. Finally, I went to Toronto, and I have the newspaper article because I knew in Toronto if I called one of the press members over and told them that I wanted to be traded, that I would finally get traded, and I didn't know it was going to explode. It made me a pariah, right? Like I was 19 or 20 years old, and I told a reporter in Toronto I wanted to be traded, and all of a sudden they didn't want to play me anymore in LA. They tried to it was like they tried to destroy me quietly, right, on the West Coast.
Yeah, and it's weird that even in today's NHL, like teams still kind of do that essentially with players. They request a trade and they try to like blacklist them from the team.
They too, and who does that serve? Like, really, it's an archaic way of looking at it, right? Like, it's better than it was because today, and I might misunderstand the rules, so correct me, but I can announce that, I'm shopping it.
Yeah, well, you heard right. Yeah, because it was just with Patrick Laine. He wanted out of Columbus.
Yeah.
And he got out, and apparently he nixed the trade, and then he wanted Montreal, and he got what he wanted.
Yeah, like it took everything and Scotty Bowman to get me out of LA, and then Buffalo, the support became the older players. They had a different culture, and the older players supported the younger players, but still no support mechanisms in place. Still, you go figure it out. Still, when you leave the building, you'll figure it out on your own, right? And today you're seeing a big difference, huh?
Yes, a lot of players they have the support like with their teammates or family. I believe some players get taken in with other players, and they'll stay with them for a year or two until they figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Now, where I wanted to talk to you about who, and I want to write these names down because I believe in manifestation. We use our mind consciously to create things that we want. So, like on the hockey front, or on the sports front, even, who is it that you'd like to have a chance to interview?
That's a tough question. Um,
Well, that's good. That's what I'm here for, right? And that's what you're here for too, to ask tough questions.
yeah. Um, I've got quite a bit. Like obviously, like I love to sit down with I'd love to sit down and like I guess Cujo. He was my favorite player growing up for the Leafs. I think I've met him a couple times, but like just to sit and talk about like probably like his career would be nice. Um, as well as I would say like Matt Sundin as well. Like for like hockey wise, I'd love to just have a chat. I think it'd be great to hear these stories that some of these players have from their time of playing and whatnot. And actually, even Alexander McGillney would be a guy I'd like to talk to.
He's not a goalie though. These guys here, I thought you were a goalie. You played goalie, right? And and
Oh, I mean, Cujo is a goalie. So I got one goalie.
yeah,
two
one
players.
goalie. But you ventured off into forwards. But
Oh, I mean, for goal, I must have misheard that actually. Then, so I guess for goalies, I'd say Cujo.
okay.
As well as Carey Price is one of my favorites as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
Trying to think here. Got me on the spot.
It doesn't have to be a goaltender either. Like, I stumble across people all the time from my past and new players too, right? And I always like to leave them with something or be able to follow up with something, and you might be that person, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So I'll definitely keep you abreast.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think here. Those are the two goalies I'd say, and also Patrick Waugh would be a fun guy. I think he'd be a fun interview.
Yeah. Now, tell me about your goaltending experience. Like you were playing goalie in sledge hockey, which is insane.
So I play. I'm a goaltender in sledge hockey. It's A and B level. I started September of 2021. I had a friend. He was asking me to come play sledge hockey for years, and I never got around to it. I'd always brush it off. I'd say yeah, whatever. Like I'll one day I'll try it out. And then during the pandemic, it was still during the pandemic. I'd say in September, he's like, hey, we need a goalie. Our guy left. So I went, I spoke to the coach. I told him like I've never really played before, but it seems simple to go in net. Fun fact, it's not simple. So I learned there as the season went on. I got more comfortable with it. And my second career game was at our tournament against the Korean national team.
Okay.
So they came down, and it was a very, very interesting experience. I think before the game, I think our coach was talking to them saying, like, I wasn't experienced, but my first ever shot I faced against them was a 2-on-0.
And are they more advanced? Are they more advanced in Asia than we are?
Maybe I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. Maybe
it must be pretty competitive now, right?
Yeah, they have a good team.
With the Paralympics and everything, they must be very competitive, right?
Yeah. A lot of teams in sledge hockey are but I'd say about even strength. A lot of good players on each side. And then as years have gone on, I've switched sleds. I was in a cross leg sled, which was tighter on the groin area, so that was hard. So I switched over to a straight leg, and since then, like, I can fall, get up. I've been positioning better and getting more comfortable with things like that.
So you're paying for the day. The point is, you're doing something every day. You're moving every day, right? I mean, to pay for the day, right?
Yeah.
And you're exercising. You're on the move. We want to get that point across to everybody. Me too, man. I'm moving every second. I'll get up from this interview, go do something else. The only time I sit down is really to do this type of thing. And you're probably the same, right?
Yeah,
You're
and
moving.
normally I'm playing ball hockey 3 days a week with a group of people, so it's been fun. We just ended our Monday night last night, so the season came
Well,
in for Mondays. And ball hockey's a fun exercise. You feel it the next day in your legs and your back.
yeah, well, you should feel it. People think that comfort is the path.
Yeah,
The comfort's not that comfort's the opposite of the path.
exactly.
And as I age, yeah, I get sore, but every time I feel some soreness, I go, oh, okay, that's good. I'm working it, man. And so
Oh, I feel it at my age, and I'm like, oh my god, I shouldn't be feeling this right
that. Well, you'll keep feeling it the rest of your life if you keep moving. I mean, that's a guarantee. And I appreciate you very much coming on today, Mark. And
Thank you for
and
having me.
like next time you come on, as you build up your portfolio, maybe we can figure out how we can share some of your best work so people can see that what you're
Yeah, for
accomplishing.
sure.
And then
For sure.
are you releasing a newsletter? Is there any place that people can tune into you right now, like website, Facebook?
To tune in for my Steelhead show with my partner, him and I do it on YouTube.
Okay.
So that's on the YouTube channel on the Gritcast, and we're changing the name of our Steelhead show. So we can't give out too many spoilers yet until we had our first episode, probably a couple weeks when the season comes out. And then for myself, I write for this website called Fired Up Network. So I'm on there.
Well, you know what? I'm a writer too, and I'm happy to come on your show as you get things ramped up. And best of luck with that. And we'll have you on again so that you can give us some of those things, so you can share some of those details. How about that?
Perfect. I'll look forward to that.
All right, man. Well, listen, great to see you. And this is fantastic on the Disability Channel. I'm Doug Smith, reporting from Ottawa, broadcasting from Ottawa with Mark Freitas and the Disability Channel. Keeping up the great work, Mark. And best of luck getting to the Invictus Games. I think it's going to happen. I got a feeling about this.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.